confidence.
Okay, I'm already running the clock.
You know, then there's confidence.
Okay, all right. Thank you, fellow Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members and guests. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. I'd say the first maybe 2/3 of my life, though, I was always caught up just thinking, well, what if I played 4 years of football instead of doing this? Or if I wore the right clothes at this certain point in high school, I would have been cooler then. And I think that's a very unhealthy way to live. Well, that's just the unsecured way I lived the first 2/3 of my life. Now, if I could describe my childhood, I'm not going to try and go too long. I would say that I was the awkward Cosby kid. Wasn't the really cool, super athletic person that played basketball 24/7. Wasn't able to do all the right dances and all the right moves and whatnot and sweep a girl off her feet. I was the introverted, awkward video gamer kid in high school. And if anyone's heard of that TV show Blackish with Anthony Anderson, that was pretty much my life. Before it was cool, before it was mainstream, you know. Black kids didn't longboard back then, all right? But yeah, that was sort of a little bit of my life. And going into high school, I'd say that I was someone who was continued to conform. I had to do this certain thing and try and be this certain way, and I would get, you know, A, B, and C. And, you know, the insecurity just continued through that. And it wasn't until, say, midway through college that I actually was thrusted out of my comfort zone. And it was in the last thing I would expect, sales. And there was this direct sales job that, you know, they sent out letters, they recruited, hired a lot of college students, and they had this very great energy, like this manager that cared about my success, you know, more so than a high school teacher or college professor. Not to put down any of those professions, but it was the first time that a leader really gravitated toward me and said, hey, you can do anything, there's greatness in you, you know, A, B, and C. And through that job, that was the first job where I went from sleeping in from 11 to 12 to waking up 7 in the morning, calling people, sitting down with people, presenting a product line. And just the energy of the staff and the team, the fact that, you know, you went to work, everybody congratulated you and told you how well you were doing, but at the same time, weren't afraid to call you out. And that's something that really got me out of my comfort zone. And I ended up being with the company for over 2.5 years while I went to school at Wayne State. I accomplished a couple of awards, and I say once again was the first thing that really got me out of my comfort zone. They say everything happens for a reason, and I'd say this was the point where my story was taking a very different turn. And I found myself writing my own story, being a really good racketeur. You know? And later, that led me to getting more out of my comfort zone through college. I joined more organizations. I got out and did more things. I wasn't behind the computer. I got more involved in, you know, different activities, you know, a little more sports. And what I kept going, what kept me going was just the sales aspect of it. You know, just having control of my own schedule. Just being able to always improve my communication skills. And when I ended up graduating college, I actually ended up entering the insurance business. Even though my major wasn't in that, that's what I ultimately ended up going into was financial services. And once again, I'm still trying to always work and improve on myself every day. And not trying to settle and just say, hey, you know what, I learned enough, I sold enough, or I went to college, I'm good. You know, I know there's a statistic out there saying I think 70–80% of college graduates, after they graduate, they never read a book from start to finish again. But me, I'm always learning. I'm always growing. And I once again believe, as far as being independent goes, with our independent theme, that everything happens for a reason. And I would just like to say that if you think, hey, if only I did this, or if I studied a little bit harder on that test, that econ class 3 years ago, I would have been where I'm at. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. You can rewrite your own story. You can become the racketeur in your life. And it doesn't matter if you were good at a stupid sport in high school. It doesn't matter that you wore all the right clothes in college. And I'm just here to let you know that right now. But once again, I still have a long way to go. I'm always improving. I'm always finding out day to day how I can get better at what I'm doing. And I think a big part of that is being able to write your own story the way you want it told. Thank you.
We have 1 minute for the evaluation.